Hello there everyone, Ashnflash here, and welcome on into a spoiler review of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This is our second video game review here on the channel, and we sort of follow the same, structure that the movie and TV show reviews do. So we're going to go non-spoilers, and then jump into spoilers, talk about different things, talk about the future for the game, as well as LEGO talk, and just potentially what LEGO could have done from this game. And so if you want to hop around to a bunch of different topics and chapters, you can find them linked down below. So non-spoilers, going into this, I think I was very excited when they first announced it way back when. We were live streaming at the time when this was announced that it was actually going to be happening. And I was just so excited to see and meet all these different versions of these characters set in the Arkhamverse and different things, which we'll talk a lot about in spoilers. But so the fact that this was a continuation of the Arkham story, which I have never had the ability to actually play a game for Arkham before it released. I played them numerous and numerous times after their release on loop, and so many times 100%ing City and Night and Origins. Never did Asylum because I just can't stand the gameplay of it because it's just so old, and it revolutionized so much of gaming. So in a lot of ways, this is a very precious thing to so many people, this character of specifically Batman. Again, we'll talk about that a lot, but the concept of introducing, hey, by the way, this character that you love a lot, Batman, that has carried 4 games, and they're all critically acclaimed and just beloved. And then you're gonna, the whole point of this is, oh, by the way, you know how they've been referencing Superman, Flash, and different things all the time in Gotham? Well, guess what? Your task is to kill them. So in some ways, yeah, I completely understand the frustration of it. I understand the criticisms of the gameplay, which again we'll get into. But overall, I really had a lot of fun with it. It reminds me so much of another game for DC, and I'm very excited for the future. I am very optimistic for it. I have been just playing so much of it. I think I've already maxed out Deadshot, and we're up 6 levels or something like that for the squad. So been loving playing it so much, trying to 100% all the stuff in the world. So anyways, let's just jump into spoilers, because I'm tired of trying not to talk about and spoil different things. But overall, I would recommend checking it out for yourself instead of just listening to the online loud majority. I don't even know if I could say that, if it is the majority or minority, but just the loud voices on the internet of being like, yeah, this game sucks. Try it for yourself. I think that it's gonna have the legs, unlike some other games. So anyways, let's talk about the intro for the game. I loved it a lot. First of all, I was really confused by the demo. I'm not sure if you have the game fully installed, if you ever even experienced that. It was a little confusing. Just even after the game was done, I was like, 7 days later, we never re-saw that point of this broken metropolis. I guess what they were trying to say was that was one of the Elseworlds. I'm not too sure, but anyways, I really did however, the intro with just setting in Arkham, re-showing us it, going through the gate and different things, all the cars driving through. Ooh, it hit me in the nostalgia. Hearing the music, the using that theme all throughout this game was really, really great. So I really enjoyed that part of it. I liked introducing us to the squad was really cool too, just having them fight and Waller just, manipulating them. And I think that was a really good example and introduction to this. I guess we had met Waller before, sort of, in Origins, but yeah, really, really cool. I loved all their interactions and different things. As we're talking about Arkham, let's just get it out of the way and talk about Batman. Where to begin with this? First of all, Kevin Conroy, for me, and if you've ever heard me talk about DC and Lego and Batman and different things like that, he, through Batman the Animated Series, is what made me fall in love with Batman, and then led into DC with the Flash and different things like that. And a large part of that, my love for DC, comes from a game, DC Universe Online, which we'll talk about in a bit. But Kevin has voiced Batman probably the most out of anyone, for sure. And to me, definitively is who I hear when I think of Batman. And obviously with his passing, it was very disappointing that this would have been his final performance here. And we'll touch on the future of the game, but with what we saw in the main campaign, let's call it, I really liked it, if I'm being honest. I mean, going into a game called Kill the Justice League, and obviously I wish it wasn't plastered all over the internet, despite me having muted terms of seeing his death and having that spoiled from the alpha beta testers or whatever it was. I think might have gone into the files and different things then. But anyways, with obviously his passing in real life, this being his final performance, at least video game wise, there could be stuff from Multiverses. We know that he recorded some lines as the animated Batman for a Crisis on Infinite Earths sort of thing that they're doing for animated films. But with this being his final performance, I really enjoyed it. I think they really did a good job with handling things, and I think we're not done with that either. With Batman, I think that what we got though was just so ingenious, the way that they approached it. Like the introduction of him in the Batman experience, I thoroughly love that. As I'm going through it, I was like, man, I wish I see these buttons. I want to push these buttons. I want to hear about like all these different things, right? And just the story, like I took my time while being hunted by Batman to shine my stupid flashlight and look around at everything. It wasn't until afterwards that I literally went and listened to every single little bit of audio, because I loved how they retold the story of the Arkhamverse and set up just Batman's life, and then filled in that little bit of gap of he faked his death and he is now a part of the Justice League and different things like that. I loved finding out a little bit more about this universe and what has happened in between the 5 years of Arkham Knight's events to now. I think was really cool. I obviously would have loved to see a little bit more, and we'll touch on that in a bit, but I feel like I'm saying that for everything, and I apologize, but I'm trying to just stay focused on Batman here. And I thoroughly loved just how he was just instantly taking us out like we were any other goon, like from the other Arkham games, and seeing that perspective of he's leaving the gel on the floor. You got to look out for that. I thought was just so ingenious to have this story being told from that perspective. If he was still alive, right, and maybe they were like, we're going to do a fourth Arkham game or something like that, I think that people would, a fifth one because of Origins, sorry, I was thinking more because of how they treat it, but I think people would have been maybe more on board with it, simply because they don't want to kill this character that they love. And I understand, I sympathize with that so much, but at the same time, this was still the story that he agreed to be a part of. Like, I think that's something that a lot of people are forgetting. Like, they're upset that this is the final way, that they mistreated Batman and different things like that. Like, this is the end of that character's legacy. Which it's not necessarily, but I think that he signed up for that. He recorded these lines. He agreed to do all these things. People wanting them to scrap the dialogue is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, because you would want his final performance to be tossed in the bin because you're unhappy with this game that he agreed to be a part of, and I'm sure would be passionate to be talking about it today. Like, it makes no sense to me. It's so ignorant, and I wish that people would just have an original thought too and not just follow everyone else. But anyways, with his performance here and having it from that perspective, I think was just such a unique take on the game. And also just him killing everyone was just insane. Like, walking, I'm not going to show it, but walking into the bank was just what like a massacre in there. That was crazy. And I loved seeing the little bits. Again, if you listen to some of the dialogue, you're hearing about like the Babel protocols and different things like that he set up in place to fight against the Justice League, and him having discussions with Diana and different things like that. I think is really powerful, really great stuff. And his final message as himself, not being possessed by Brainiac, I think was really powerful. And yes, they skipped ahead of it a little bit because, comedic timing and different things like that. And I don't have a problem with that. They let the end bit play, which was the most important part. Got me choked up, got my boy King Shark choked up, like it really hit me. And then that fight, I actually thought was really cool. I've been seeing some people being like, oh, you're just shooting Batman, like this big fear toxin Batman. I'm like, no, that's really cool. To me, that went and harken back all the way back to Arkham Asylum. Those fights that you would have against Giant Scarecrow, against the Poison Ivy thing, and you're just throwing your batarangs, and it just, like, sweeping, you got to jump over that, and then maybe there's a batarang coming at you, and you got to shoot it before it hits you. that reminded me so much of the Arkham games. I really, really appreciated that a lot. That fight was great. I think just the use of uh, the fear toxin and different things as well was just so darn cool. That whole bit as well just reminded me of when the Joker is taking over Batman, and then you're going through like his worst nightmare and different things like that of being forgotten. Well, it feels like they took all of these little tidbits of the Arkham stuff and were like sprinkling it in here in this third person shooter game. Like I would just never would have expected that. But I loved as well. I can keep going. He stalks you in the game supposedly. I didn't see this myself. I kept trying to see. I did hear at one point the effect of him teleporting away. So I don't know if one of my shots went towards him and I just missed it as I was shooting. But he does stalk you throughout the game. You could see him up above, and you could also hear obviously all of the dialogue of him, talking to Superman or Brainiac as well. I think was really cool. Just their conversations, and also just him sort of like taking shots at the Suicide Squad, I think is really great. But I don't know, I've probably talked about him enough, but I probably should move on. The very final thing I promise you that I'll say about him was that tribute at the end. Whoo, I did not see that coming. That really hit me. Really hit me hard. It was a very nice tribute that they had Lois Lane give at the end. I was not expecting that. That really just, I'm even talking about this, like it really made me lose it for sure. I really could go on and on about this for him specifically, but let's continue with the League and talk about that. The fear toxin bit of that. Him creating Sinestro core stuff was just so darn cool, making the little batteries for us to use against John. That was so awesome. Like, that was not something I ever expected. I saw it in the trailers because I've been working on something with this, and I saw as I was, getting up hype for this, I noticed the yellow, and I was like, oh, I guess they might do that. Like, how are they going to do that? Maybe Sinestro's in it or something, but no, it wasn't that at all. But again, I'm somehow back here talking about Batman. But with the rest of the League, I enjoyed the fights, I think, for the most part. I really liked the Superman fight. Like, it was just, I really liked how all of a sudden he was just bashing on us. And I think that was something that his fight with Wonder Woman needed a little bit. He wasn't talking. He wasn't trying to reason with her of joining Brainiac and different things like some of the other people did. I don't know if that was just because he was still sort of coming online with the Brainiac integration and stuff like that, but that was really cool. Wonder Woman was just stellar, like just awesome. I really loved her performance. I wish that there was moments where we maybe could have fought alongside of her. That would have been kind of neat. I thought that her death was really crazy. Like when Superman killed her, but she stabbed him first, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And the only thing that I was like, that was one of the only things that I didn't really like. It's like, they're not helping Waller, but they're also just standing by and let that happen to Wonder Woman. I thought maybe one of them was going to run over, block him with the shield or something, but yeah, I thought her death was very powerful. Jon Stewart and Floyd's sort of beef, I feel like it was never really fleshed out. Like, they never really talked about the reasons why. It just felt forced. I don't know. That was just the way that I got it. I personally really liked Boomerang and Flash's interactions. I didn't realize that he wasn't possessed from the start. That was actually one of the things that really surprised me, was that he saved us. And I really liked him fighting Green Lantern for a bit there. That was really cool. It was sad to see that he died, but again, maybe he's not dead. And I thought that even with Boomerang pissing on him, it didn't bother me as much as I'm seeing other people say online. I thought that it's fitting. He hates him, and people are like, he would never do this. Well, this is this version's Boomerang. We've seen different versions all the time. They don't always have to get along with Flash. And I think that him being so upset with him, and then him also being like, this is this goody two shoes who's always talking down to me when I'm robbing banks, whatever, right? And here he is, he's helping enslave the human race. Of course he's going to be pissed off. Of course he's going to be so happy that he killed his his biggest enemy. It didn't bother me, not as much as I've seen people angry. It's not like you even see it. Anyways, am I leaving anyone out from the league? That was pretty great. Obviously could have loved to see more people from the league, but that's sort of where I want to talk about this here, the rest of the world, the Arkham world that we get to see, with characters like Toyman for the first time, Gizmo, Argus, and Waller. That was really cool. But as well as there's other references throughout this of Black Manta. There's in Toyman's workshop, there's this really cool hologram projecting of like the villains fighting a bunch of people. It looked like in the style of Scribblenauts, but anyways, it was Superman versus Metallo, Wonder Woman versus Ares, Green Lantern versus Sinestro, the Flash versus the Reverse Flash, and Batman versus Scarecrow. Now, obviously, even just some of the guns, there's a bunch of characters that we've never seen before. Some of the artifacts and different things in the hall was really cool too. Just, they're referencing Bizarro and Dr. Poison, and what else? There's some leaks for Gentleman Ghosts for different items that you're going to be able to collect. The Turtle, Heatwave, a bunch of rogues. There's a reference to Pied Piper I've seen online. So many other characters that we've just never really heard about maybe in the Arkhamverse. I don't remember every minute little Easter egg that they've talked about before, but really cool to see all this happening. The Hall of Justice was just, to get the backstory on the league was just so cool. That's one of the complaints that I had, was I wish that we could have seen them in action all fighting alongside together. I think would have been really nice to see the league actually go up to Brainiac's ship and try and fight. I think would have been nice to see the events happen. I feel like that's something that was really missed here. But I want to talk about the rest of the Arkham characters that we had return as well. Your Penguin was really cool to see back, that he's an arms dealer, he's helping you. And Ivy being back, I didn't even mind that. I think that's a really cool concept, that she is, somehow she lived and that she's back. She's just learning, she's a kid, she's naive and different things. And Aaron Cash, that was one of my favorite bits. I don't really know why he's helping Waller. Like, he's literally got an Arkham badge on his arm, but really cool to see him back. I guess maybe he's like the liaison, sort of looking after the Arkham patients and different things that are here. I really thought that was a lot of fun. And Riddler back, of course, as well, was just, I didn't know that was going to happen. That's so cool. I love going around, solving all the riddles, finding the trophies and all that. Doing that as the squad has just been a lot of fun. I'm so glad they got him back. I don't know if there's anything that's unlocked at the end. I know that so far I'm at 3 out of 4 of the audio logs. So let's talk about Brainiac. So DC Universe Online, if you've never played it before, the opening cutscene, I really recommend you just check it out and watch it. So many of the moments in here, like just Superman, like just, shredding through people and fighting Wonder Woman and different things like that. Like, there were just moments of a bunch of things that just reminded me so much of that game. But because as well the threat is Brainiac, oh my goodness, it reminded me so much of just fighting Brainiac in that game and just hearing the announcements and different things. Like, it felt so much like it. A lot of times for the characters that you pick, because you can pick mentors between either you're creating your own character if you want to be a hero or villain, then you pick a mentor, and then you get to pick your weapons and your superpowers. And I would a lot of times pick always using flight to move around, fly around the city, and then I'd pick a dual pistol. I would. So this being a gun game, very much, I didn't mind that, in that game you're shooting Superman and obviously you take him out as a boss fight. You would never be able to do that, but, it's just for the game. And I think that here as well, like, that's just what it reminded me of. I'm fighting Brainiac, he's also, like, creating sort of these versions, metahuman sort of monsters and different things. He does that in DC Universe Online. He calls it exobytes. He steals the data of the humans or the metahumans, and then actually, implants it into his army and different things. So that, to me, it just felt like there was so much overlap there, and I didn't mind that at all. I really loved it. It's interesting because the voice actor for Lex Luthor in this game, Corey Burton, who voiced Hugo Strange in the past, who's referenced here, by the way, a couple times. He's got some items, which I think is strange because he's dead, but maybe it's Earth 2 Hugo Strange. Anyways, but with Lex, that voice actor, he played Brainiac in the Justice League animated show and then also in DC Universe Online. So I really wish there was him instead of Jason Isaacs. I think he did a great job. It just sounded like the Grandmaster was talking to me and mocking me the whole time, but just there was a little bit of a robotic synthesization, if that's a word. But I really, if Corey Burton had played Brainiac, which would have been amazing for me, and then if they had gotten Clancy Brown as Lex, because we've had Mark Hamill and also Kevin Conroy obviously play the characters from the animated show, would have been really, really cool to see here. But I digress. Still really, really great cast, I think, overall. Like, the performances in here, I don't think there's any denying that the chemistry that they had with each other, some of the jokes that they had, I think was really, really solid. I really appreciated that. The gameplay, I thoroughly love the movement for a lot of these characters. I think that's really great. Like, in terms of going around the city, I think that King Shark is just the best. I really love it a lot. He's just so primal, and it's just so fast. I really don't like Harley's, maybe just because I haven't given it enough time to master it, but I play most as Deadshot. Captain Boomerangs is a lot of fun just because of the Speed Force and different things. Obviously, Ashnflash, got to use that because of the speed. But overall, like, the gameplay, I wish, and this is one of my other complaints, is I wish that you're actually able to use your melee weapons a little bit more, because for some people like King Shark, the timing of it, again, maybe because I haven't maxed him out, but it's just so slow, and I wish that it did more damage. Wish I had the option to use those items more, because I 100% agree with the complaint of, for the most part, it doesn't feel like you're these characters. I think it feels the most like you are obviously Deadshot, because he uses guns, it makes sense. Even Harley to an extent. I would even argue with Captain Boomerang, although I wish he was just throwing boomerangs instead. I think that would have been great. And King Shark, who knows? Maybe they'd fix that in the future. Maybe they could do that. But I think that I agree with that. And I've seen, obviously, the comparison to the Avengers. And I got to say, with the Avengers, I felt like I was Captain America. I felt like I was Iron Man. I felt like I was Thor, calling my hammer back and different things like that. So credit where credit's due. I do feel like those characters, when I was playing as them, here I don't necessarily get that, except for Deadshot. And that's maybe why I've been playing him as him the most, because I just have been really enjoying just the jetpack as well. But the other thing that I'll say with that is, just in general with the game, I was surprised that there was no other character that could have popped up. I think that that's something that maybe the Avengers game did well as well, is you don't have access to everyone every single time for these different levels. As the story progresses, you're unlocking more and more of the Avengers. And I think that that's something that this game could have had. I think having a fifth character, heck, maybe even a sixth one in the actual story. Obviously, we're recruiting people to sell us gear, to improve our gear and different things like that. I love that a lot. But I think I needed a surprise, And again, I think that because this game had been delayed, that is a little bit of the reason why maybe we saw so much with the Fear Toxin Batman, with the Yellow Lanterns and different things in the trailers. But I think that giving us someone like Black Manta, maybe adding Aquaman into the game, different things like that, I think would have been a really cool addition. And of course, they still could do that. But, and obviously, we're going to be getting 4 new characters. That'll lead into this next thing about the future of this. I can't wait for that. Like, Joker's right around the corner, the Battle Pass starting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works. Obviously, the Battle Pass, it's not going to unlock characters. It's just for cosmetics and different things like that, and you will always be able to access that. I think that's really incredible. That will make it stand out amongst all of the other games, like the Avengers. Like, you will have access to the Battle Passes even after you come into this a year later. You can always go back to season 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's really awesome. Like, kudos to them. I love that a lot. I can't wait to play as Joker. I can't wait to see how he plays. He does look like a lot of fun, and I'm excited. Obviously, I think that that's not necessarily my first pick for who I'd like to see join the squad, but I am very excited. The other characters being, they have leaked. I won't talk about the middle one just because you can't tell necessarily who they are from the images, but we're getting a version of Mr. Freeze. It's Victoria Freeze from an alternate universe, and then we're getting the other 2 characters, I believe, are from our world, and they are going to be set in Gotham, which I'm very excited about. I hope that's not another Earth, although I think it might be. I think it would have been really cool if we just see hey, this is actually, he's also invading in Gotham. And again, that would remind me so much of DC Universe Online, where Brainiac's attacking all these different places. You had the open world for Gotham and also Metropolis. So I would love an open world for Gotham. I think would be really darn cool for us to get that and show us, the effects of what Brainiac's doing over there. I think would be really cool. If they're sister cities, like they could be right next to each other. Like why not have that? I think would be awesome to see. So yeah, Deathstroke is the fourth character. So really, really looking forward to those guys. Except for the third one, I don't care about that one bit. But continuing the future and what I've been hinting at this entire time of are they still alive? There are leaks from season 2 that they are alive. There are some voice dialogue and different things, but there's also just a lot of evidence actually pointing towards that, and that might surprise you. One of the main things that I was like, that's really dumb, was when the Flash came back, he had his thumb. And I was like, Speed Force doesn't work that way. Did they just forget to render out that? But no, that is not the case. And the theory being that he is actually a clone or some sort of, modified version of the Flash. So they are actually on the mothership, the whole league, including precious, beloved Kevin Conroy's Batman. Arkham Batman is up there somewhere waiting to be rescued. So I think that's going to be really exciting if looking in the future that, we will be fighting alongside the league again, and we're going to be trying to rescue the rest of the league inside the ship. I think that really lends a lot of credibility to the leaks of the audios, to the fact that he has his thumb. Even just looking at Superman, like he wasn't speaking, maybe because sort of like Ivy, he was just born, right? They had talked about that a long time, about how they were waiting for the Kryptonian to emerge, right, and different things like that. I think was really interesting. So I am all for that. I would love for us to get a Justice League game. Like, obviously, this was a lot of fun, but give us a Darkseid invasion, parademons, and different things like that. I don't know. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Maybe if this game has legs, we could see that. Who knows? Like, they could introduce another villain, introduce more hub worlds and different things like that. Would be really great. Even Diana technically could come back. Zeus is just like, hey, I'm gonna heal my daughter. It's so comic booky. I don't even mind that. That they were just clones. That they were, I'm all for that. It would make so much, like, legitimately, it would make so much sense for that to happen. Or maybe there also could be Earth 2 versions of the characters, but we'll have to wait and see. Very, very interested to see where the story goes, for sure. And I think as well, that's why it reminded me of DC Universe, just to go back to that for a second, is just, obviously when that game would have launched, you wouldn't have had that final battle. And yeah, the boss fight was not a great way to end a single player story game. There's still so much more to come with this. There's 12 other Brainiacs to take out. And obviously the main one is going to have probably a unique fight. So I'm all here for it. I cannot wait to see how that is going to look and how that's going to work. Lego talk, though. Oh, my goodness. If we could just hop over to Earth 2 really quick and just imagine that Lego is actively doing DC sets and Marvel is only getting a handful of sets, and they're all nostalgia-based for, the classic MCU things, and there's just massive waves of Justice League sets. And imagine if, just like the Avengers game, if those outfits were all their outfits from here. Giving us those Justice League outfits would have been so cool. Maybe even having them fight again. Going back to 2016, I can't believe I'm talking about that here in this video, but going back to 2016, back when they did Suicide Squad sets, but just labeled them under Batman, gave us the entire lineup from the Suicide Squad 2016 movie. And that would just be so cool. I would love to get these outfits. I really, really liked, specifically the Justice League ones were really cool. I would love to get versions of them. They have done Arkham stuff before. I actually have a really cool video that I think holds up from years and years ago of talking about every single reference that Lego's done for the Arkham games. And if you didn't know, we actually have an Arkham version of Batman. It's pretty cool, from Arkham Knight. They just threw him into a remote control Batmobile for some reason. I'll take it. It's awesome. My dream set right now, I think, would be an Arkham Asylum based off of the games. Oh my goodness, it would be so cool. And they could reference this game too here. giving us King Shark and different things, I think will be a lot of fun. It will be an 18 plus set, so who cares that it's M rated, right? I don't know. That's just my dream right now. Besides the Gotham City set, that's what I would really love to see. But anyways, everyone, what did you think of the game? Comment it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just keep things civil. Obviously people are allowed to have different opinions. I think that I just want people to have their own opinion and not to follow other people's. I think that's very important. But be sure to subscribe, turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss out on future Lego DC set news, reviews, different things like that. We got a lot coming out this year that I'm excited about, as well as maybe I'll live stream the DLC. I just really wanted to play this for myself since, like I said up at the top, I've never had the opportunity to play an Arkham game when it launched, so this was really special and meaningful to me that I just had that chance to do that. So anyways, can't wait for Joker, can't wait for the other 3 characters, and hopefully more, because there's so many versions of Brainiac we gotta take out. But hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hope you all have a great day. We'll see you all in the next one.